going to end up with a close-up of my face quite often because I'm going to be there with my magnifier. If you're doing anything like sculpting or painting, yeah, I highly recommend you get one of these. That you can pick them up really cheap off of Amazon. And to be honest, I'm surprised that Games Workshop don't sell these because they make everything so much easier, especially when you've got bad eyesight like myself. But things you'll need when I'm not breaking my camera equipment. So you'll need some wire for doing it, which I picked up from Crazy Wire Company. Now the wire that I've got is all stuff that I've been using for doing, for e-cigs, but the wire works for modelling just as or sculpting just as well. So you'll need some wire to make an armature with. And you'll need various sculpting tools. This one here is my favourite one, which came from Games Workshop, but you can pick other sculpting tools up cheap enough. Like I've got a set of these ones here, which I think was about £5 for. I think it was a 10-piece set. I'll have to actually count what I've got there. This here, again, Games Workshop do their own one of these. It's used for removing like mould lines off of models, but it's also very good for scraping unwanted parts off of hardened milliput and green stuff. You have to bear with me. I keep looking at my screen so I can make sure that the camera's in focus while I'm showing it. Like milliput is. Damn it, I keep knocking all my equipment. Milliput is, you can pick this up again on Amazon pretty cheap. It's usually about £5 for, well, you can see there, obviously price tag still on it, £5.50 for a pack like that, and that will last you absolutely ages. Some of you might prefer working solely with green stuff, some of you might prefer working solely with milliput. I like using both because they have very different properties to them. Milliput behaves a lot more like clay, and when it hardens you can scrape it quite easily, and you can turn it and mill it, and it does so quite easily, whereas green stuff behaves more like a gummy putty before it sets, and then it kind of goes like quite rubbery when it's hardened. If I had a larger piece of milliput or green stuff that's hardened, I could show you what I mean. In fact, actually, if I bring my this model here over again, you probably can't see it there, but it's kind of, that flexes a bit, whereas like this here, where that's hardened like don't know what you would call it. It's basically, this set's harder than the green stuff. Like the green stuff is still kind of flexible. When it comes to doing swords or anything like that, I'll probably end up using plasticard for that. Something else you'll probably want to do is something out of cork or something like that you can jam like a needle or something into quite easily, because when we've made our armature, we're going to need to jam it into something. So you'll want to, like a large piece of cork, or like I've done there, I've just taped 3 corks together. The ledge bit you can see on that's basically where I got a base, and just for working out like the size that I want it on. Now, the base I've decided to use for Lucius because I felt that a normal base is too small. Like so I wanted something that's a bit bigger. So I went for like a pretty much the same size base as what my Primaris Lieutenant is on. And as for scale, I thought, well, I'm going to scale him a bit bigger than a standard Space Marine, which is obviously what Lucius would be. But since he's a character, I thought I'll sculpt him a little bit bigger. Other tools you're going to need, well, you're obviously going to need things like wire snips and pliers. For making the armature, or bits of the armature, like a small screwdriver helps. You'll see why shortly. And another tool that I'm going to be using is a pair of mole grips. I'm hoping that I can navigate my arms around all of this stuff. I think I'm going to have to move this light. When it comes to me actually getting up close and sculpting, I'm definitely going to have to use a different light for that, because it's getting my hands here like round tripod isn't easy. So I'll move all that out of the way for a second. So to begin with, we're going to want to make an armature. So we're going to want a nice decent amount of wire. Now obviously you can see that this wire is extremely springy at the moment. Stainless steel is a little bit more malleable and holds its shape better, but also as well, because this is the wire's kind of round, I'm snipping it off camera because I can't get close to it to do it. So what I'm going to be doing to make it so that the wire, like, or the putty holds to the wire, is I'm going to twist it together, but I'm going to do with something which in vaping is called a chain. They call it a chain build, and I found that one's actually doing the wire like that is very good for holding putty. So stretching all the wire out, and this is where the screwdriver comes in. If you've got a power drill, that makes things a whole lot easier as well, because you can just stick one end in the power drill and not have to manually twist it like this. So keeping one end held in to the screwdriver like that, just keep twisting with the mole grips. And if you've got a power drill, you can do this in seconds. Okay, that's looking like it's enough. When you pulled it out, like as you let go, you can see that it's just wanting. There we go. It's done that, and I didn't want it to. It will want to kind of coil up. Oh, damn it! Right. So what you're going to want to do to stop it from doing that is just get a good grip on the screwdriver and just really give it a good hard pull. And then it should do that a bit less. Like I said, I'm using, is it nickel? I think it's nickel and chrome that I'm using here, which, like I said, you want to use stainless steel, to be honest. I'm just using nickel and chrome because I don't like vaping with it, and I've got loads of it. So yeah, this is it's nichrome that I've got here. So I'm going to cut off another piece of wire. So if you want to get wire for making armatures, you can get it from wireandstuff.co.uk, or you can just go into a vaping shop and pick it up there. But wireandstuff.co.uk is very reasonable with their prices. They're a lot cheaper than what you would pay in a vape shop. So taking the second piece of wire again and lining it up to the first there. So you've got the second piece of wire that's doubled over, and putting it alongside the first one, and cut this one too long, but oh well. Clamping it in with the mole grips again. So I'm going to trim that. So I've got it clamped in with the mole grips again, and I'm going to trim off that excess because I took way too much off of that spool. I need more cameras. Or better cameras. So now you've got that clamped into the mole grips. Where's my screwdriver gone? So now you've got that clamped into the mole grips. Put the screwdriver through the new piece of wire and the old piece of wire, and then twisting it in the opposite direction and keeping a bit of tension on it at the same time. And what you should see here is it will form like it will look a bit like a chain. This is also quite useful for like if you're wanting to do chains on miniatures. This is a pretty good way of approximating a chain. It's not the tidiest one, but it's enough to hold the putty in place. It's also as well, again, because of the material I'm using, it is very springy, but once you bend it about enough, it will stay in place. So once you've done that, you're going to want to cut it into sections that you can again twist together, and you're going to want to cut it into sections that you can twist together and make your armature with. So first thing we need to consider is the legs. So if I bring my Primaris Marine in, I can get an approximation for the legs and the body. So if I fold it there, you're going to want more than the where the feet go, because you're going to want something to plug into the cork. So not including the head, we'll go to there. So I'm going to be cutting it about here. So yeah, that's not actually in camera. So bringing them in, like, so shoulders about there and there, and if we put it alongside, we can see the elbow joint is roughly about here. So do that on both sides, and so we'll snip about there on it. So we've got the section that will be the shoulders and the arms and the main body and the legs. So we'll stick that in there, and I'll go and get me mole grips again, and then just twist the armature around about the chest area. So now I want to bend those out a little, and then so let's bring that, use the pliers where you can, but obviously twisted like this, it's a bit stiffer than it normally would be otherwise. Not just because obviously the wire is thicker, but because there's more tension on the wire, so it kind of goes like a lot harder. So I need more hip on. We'll work out from there roughly where the knee joint would be. So the knee joint would be roughly there. So yeah, obviously that's not an amazing pose. Kind of looks like Neo off the Matrix as he's dodging bullets, but that's obviously not the pose we want for Lucius. So after this point, it's just adjusting the positions till you get the pose you want. So bring in our piece of cork, stab a hole into the cork for the armature to standing. So from there we can start working on the pose that it's going to have. Once you got all that, you can bend it about a bit more just to get the proportions more in the right place. And remember that this here is not the head, that's basically the base of the neck. I want him to be having more of a sort of like a Naruto run. So with one leg back and the other like landing. So it's, yeah, we want one foot that he's launching off and one that he's landing on. From the artwork, I can't tell if he's landing on that foot or if he's, you know, taken off from it. But again, that's a bit more of a action pose. It's a little bit more like what you see in that piece of artwork. So hunched over with his kind of back kind of arching up with his shoulders back. And then he would have his sword coming off of here and the lash of torment coming off of that side. So the next bit is getting your putty. Right, so for this I prefer using milliput for doing things like all of the less detail work, like the bulking up and everything, like the skinning and getting the rough shapes and everything. Mostly because milliput's a lot cheaper than green stuff. Once you've got the basic shape, milliput is far easier to work with than green stuff. So just mould it about until you got like an even colour. No, my stash of milliput is aged a little bit. Normally these two parts are pretty much the same colour. I mean, you get other types of green stuff as well that has like a yellowy part and a white part. And unlike green stuff, you do get a residue on your fingers, so be prepared for that. And when you've done what you're doing, very quickly go off and wash your hands, because this stuff does irritate. Green stuff irritates as well, but this stuff leaves far more residue on your fingers. And once it cures, it's not easy to get off. So one of the other things I forgot to mention about milliput and green stuff is milliput you can cut just like clay. You can create a slip with it, which is where you add a little bit of water and you can make like a slurry with it, which helps when binding things together. But it's also as well, you can sort of slow down the curing with it. Right, now I can already feel that that's starting to cure a bit. So we'll take a bit off, take our armature, and just a little bit at a time, just put small blobs of the milliput around the armature just to build a basic shape up. So we're not aiming for like the full-on Space Marine shape here. This is just a frame to build up on. So now we get our sculpting tool, and I'm probably going to need my magnifier for this because I can't see a damn thing. So again, I'm not going for anything neat and tidy. I just want to make sure that I've got the basic shape of what I'm aiming for. Right, so for now I'm going to let that cure, because I can't do anything else to it until it's finished curing. But hopefully we can get a something that looks a bit like the artwork from that. So I'm going to let that cure and come back to that next time round. where we can add more to it.